Hello, welcome to Monday's Mystery Meeting, or Mystery Meeting Monday, or Monday Mystery Meeting, or Meeting Mystery Monday, whichever way you want to get it through. It's the Monday Mystery Meeting. This is number 3 in our series where we're going to be speaking to some people from Riverside Church just to hear some stories of what life in lockdown looks like for them right now, so we can get a bit of encouragement and so hear some stories from the church of just what's going on out there. We hope you enjoyed the last 2 weeks. We had Claire Oates in week 1, and we've talking about her work with the NHS, and we've had Elaine in week 2 talking about her work with the Postal Service. So we really hope those have been encouraging to you. Remember, they're on our YouTube page. You can go back to them anytime and click on them. Also, the links on your emails, if you've been getting those, they're still valid as well, so you can go back and check up on them. But we really hope that this will be an encouraging time. We've loved filming these, and I hope you enjoy today's Monday Mystery Meeting. There we go. So hello, welcome to the Monday Mystery Meeting, and as you can see, today's Monday Mystery Meeting is with Vicky Vincent. Hello, Vicky.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for agreeing to be part of this. We really appreciate you giving up some time just to chat with us a bit. It's lovely to see you.
Well, it's nice to see you. Nice to see anybody, actually.
I know. I think actually I've got a queue of people that want to do this just so they can see another face. But yeah, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself? Tell us a bit about what you do for anyone out there that doesn't know and all that stuff.
Okay, so I'm a teacher. I've lived in the Stourport Kidderminster area almost all of my life. I grew up here. I went away, joined the Navy, came back, and became a teacher at Holy Trinity School. And 18 years later, I'm still a teacher at Holy Trinity School. Wow. So in the interim, I started as a teacher and I became deputy head, and now I'm not deputy head. Now I'm just a teacher again, part-time, and winding down gradually. And this has helped me to wind down a bit quicker than I think I was expecting.
Nice. So teaching for 18 years, I mean, I lasted 10. How do you enjoy teaching? Is teaching like one of your passions?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I like teaching. I like being there with the kids and teaching, and I think that was in the end what got to me a bit too much about being in management, was the fact that actually it took up all my time, and I was rushing into my lessons and rushing out of them and missing them because I was always in meetings. Wow. So I've really enjoyed the last 2 years that I've been part-time, because actually I get to do what I really enjoy, which is be with the kids and interact with them. So it's great.
For me, that's so encouraging to hear. You talk to so many people who focus on a career path and a career ladder and just moving up the ladder. And actually with teaching, the higher you go, the less contact you have. So for me, it's so encouraging to hear a teacher that wants to be around the kids. That's great.
Oh, yes, but it's also because I'm so old, I've got no ambition left, you see. That's what it is.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. So before lockdown, what would teaching look like for you previous to not being able to go into school?
Well, I'd be in school every day, although not for all day every day, afternoons off and things like that. I was on 0.8 timetable, so in 0.8 of the time, and essentially almost all the time, as it is with part-timers, that I'm there, I'm in the classroom. So I'm teaching, and this year I'm teaching Year 8 maths, Year 9 music, Year 10 music, Year 12 music, Year 12 maths, Year 13 maths, Year 13 music. So a lot of older students, so primarily in fact A-level.
Wow. So maths and music, they seem poles apart. What's that all about?
Well, at least I can count all the pianos effectively, you see, that's what it is.
But normally I hear like music and art or music and drama, but music and maths, just wow, what a combination.
Well, it's very logical. I mean, I've always really enjoyed music. I love music. I did it for my degree, but I also did maths for my degree. So there's a real correlation there. So not to see a mathematical word there coming out. You see,
I like it.
Thank you. I'll slip some more in there later. It just works for me. It is a mix that does go quite well together, because music has a very logical, mathematical side if you think about the way harmonies work and that sort of thing.
Oh, Honestly, because I've never thought of music that way, but you're so right. I guess I've just never seen it like that. But for you then, you're still working, but life looks differently now in lockdown. You can't be going in, engaging with the kids. So, but I know that you're still teaching. So what does teaching look like for you in lockdown?
Well, it just consists of setting tasks for kids to do, really, that they can do in lockdown. And for the older ones, obviously, that looks different to my Year 8 bottom set year maths group, which is really hard for them to engage in any new work at all. Because if you think of your own maths, I don't know whether you're good at maths or bad at maths, but most people say, oh, I could never do maths. And maths is one of those subjects it's really hard to do on your own without somebody there showing you step by step. And particularly the kids I'm teaching in Year 8, because they struggle. So at the moment, I'm trying to find tasks which they can actually do, which are meaningful, and that's quite hard. For music, it's easier because you can get them to look at things and do things, so it's easier. With my Year 12 maths group at the moment, I'm still teaching them because I'm sending them out little podcasts every day, which they have to look at, and then they do some work based on that. So we're actually in the year, although they're Year 12, they finished the syllabus, so we're now doing Year 13 maths.
Wow. So you're not only sending tasks, but do you have then student interaction? Does that still happen?
Well, kind of, yes. For school, it does, in terms of, we have this platform called Show My Homework, where I post what it is I want them to do, and then they're supposed to send work back. You notice I said supposed to there. Okay, let's bear that in mind. And some of them do. Some of them are absolutely wonderful. Some of them I've heard nothing from for however long we've been in lockdown. And of course, that's really concerning. I know it's concerning to everybody.
Yeah. So how do you manage that? Because obviously when you're in school every day, you get to interact with those kids that are doing well and engaging, but you also get to engage with the ones that really aren't. How do you manage your own emotions with not being able to almost reach the kids that you really want to, you know, teach and grow?
Well, there's not much you can do about it. Wow. You know, I mean, I think one of the things that this lockdown period will show the kids and show the teachers and show the parents as well, is that actually teaching is more complex than just sending your kids to school. There's a lot more to it. I mean, there are some parents who are absolutely wonderful. There are some kids who are fantastic, who do everything that's thrown at them and try really, really hard. And I think for those kids, this period actually, although they might not like it, will stand them in really good stead in terms of their independent learning, which will be fantastic for them in the future. For others, you've got parents who are saying, oh, what work? You know, do I have to do something? And kids were saying, I don't want to do anything. And there's just nothing you can do about that. And I think that's going to make it really hard for them when they eventually do come back to school, and really hard for them to get back in the mindset.
Yeah. I mean, I know I've talked to quite a lot of parents and families, and it feels like every family has their own challenges at the moment. Obviously, some families have almost been able to embrace the lockdown and they seem to be thriving in it, whereas some other families, parents are really struggling in the lockdown and really trying with their children, but don't seem to be getting anywhere. It's a really difficult dynamic. Is there any advice that you can give just to parents, or any encouragement you can give to parents on how to help their kids right now?
Oh gosh, that's quite a broad question, you know.
Sorry.
That's okay. I think it depends on what level the children are at. If they're primary school teachers, primary school children, obviously it's much easier to engage with them in whatever they're learning, because they're interested. They're little machines who want to learn and want to do things and want to experiment, and particularly want to be hands-on. Yeah. So I would say, if you can't do the schoolwork, then engage them, get them cooking, get them doing things, show them how the adult world works in terms of what happens at home, which would be, again, stand them in good stead. If they're older children, I think it's really challenging, because you know, if you're talking about year 10 maths and you're not very good at maths, then you're not really going to be able to help them particularly. All you can do is be supportive and encouraging. Yeah. And actually, I think that's the main thing that parents can be for the older students, you know, ensuring that they know that they have got to spend a portion of the day doing schoolwork, and if they can get into a routine with that, even if they're struggling with the content, at least the structure will be good for them.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful to hear as well, because I know a lot of parents that I've spoken to sometimes feel the pressure of we don't understand or we don't have the knowledge. But just to hear you say as a teacher, just be supportive, be encouraging to your children. I think that's such great advice, and it almost alleviates hopefully some of that pressure maybe that some of the parents who don't feel as confident because they're not teachers, they're parents.
No, well, that's it. I mean, I think in the past, or before lockdown, I'll say in the past, before lockdown, schools have become like the organisation that can do everything for everybody. They're, you know, mental health specialists, and they're, you know, they understand about, you know, deprived children, and they can do everything in the world. You just send your children to school and they can do it all. I think it's useful for some parents, not all, because a lot of parents are fantastic, to realise actually that they need to engage and support and look after their children and point them in the right direction. I think support from parents can't be calculated, because it's the impetus that the children need.
Yeah, and I love what you said about primary school kids, you know, being so hands-on. I've heard some fantastic stories of parents who haven't felt confident necessarily with the school stuff, but are doing cooking, they're doing gardening, they're doing like nature just by going on their walk with the kids and pointing out flowers and clouds in the sky. And kids are getting a different type of education in just being hands-on and learning about adult stuff with their parents. I've been really encouraged by that.
No, it's really good, and to be honest, it's what a lot of parents who educate their children out of school, and there are quite a number of those. Those are the skills that they often concentrate on. You know, the skills that you actually need, and you know, the things that go on around you. They feel are more important than a lot of the schoolwork. Now, I think there's got a balance there, obviously, but I think it's nice for some children who've not really experienced that to spend a lot of time with their parents, exploring other areas. And I think for relationships, I think it's going to be fantastic in the future.
Yeah, I think you're right. It forces, not forces, but it pushes that engagement with children and parents again. Because I remember when I was growing up, I came in when I was a child. It was just as computer gaming was becoming popular, and I had my own VCR in my bedroom, and I had my own computer. And literally, I'd come home and I'd plug myself into all my gaming consoles, and I was the first generation of ultimate screen time. And so I don't have the practical skills. I don't know how to rewire a plug. I don't know how to put up a shelf. And I certainly don't know how to do the gardening, because I did just come home and just cut myself off. So I think this will encourage that relationship between parents and their children again, which would be lovely.
Yeah, I think it's been really nice when we're out walking. You know, we see a lot of families together, and it's really nice, because previously you never saw families going out together.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of awful stuff going on, and you wouldn't wish a pandemic on anybody, on any culture. But I think that there will be a lot of positives that come out of this, which we won't see for a number of years.
Yeah, I agree, actually. And that's the thing, almost you can't measure the impact this will have until in hindsight, really. I mean, you've talked a bit about the struggle with teaching maths, obviously, because you can't really be there to walk the kids through it. What about teaching music? What does that look like online?
That's go away and listen to some music and write about it, you know, essentially. But on the other tack, because as well as teaching in school, I also work as a singing teacher, as you may know, and I do lessons for my kids here. I put them in for exams. We do musical theatre, we sing and dance. Well, I don't personally dance, but that sort of thing. So what I'm doing with them is I'm giving them Zoom lessons like this. So they sing to me with a backing track, and I can look at them and I can point them in the right direction. So I'm getting a lot of interaction with them that way, which I have to say is not as good, but it's actually still really nice.
Yeah. Does that have an impact on their mental health or anything? Do you think that's making a difference to them at this time?
Yeah, I think so. That's one of the reasons that I kept on doing it. I mean, I'm thinking of the older children really that I teach this to, who are sort of anything from 14, 15 upwards. That's the kind of group that I teach. And I was incredibly worried about them when we went on lockdown, because they're such a social group. They're always together, they're always interacting and laughing and joking and going out together and that sort of thing. And I was really worried about their mental health. I mean, I'm still a bit worried about that, but actually the fact that I'm interacting with them, actually I don't just give them one lesson, I usually give them 2 or 3 lessons a week, so I'm seeing them quite frequently, and they're doing it with other people as well. I think that that's really helping them.
Right. I love how the fact that you are focusing not just, I say not just, but you're not focused solely on the education, but you're looking at them as individuals, as human beings, and you're almost looking at the holistic education of them.
Yes, children are human beings too.
Well, as I say, I understand. Being as I used to be a teacher as well, I got to the point where someone said to me, "They're not children; they're 2.7% of an outcome," and I was like, "No, no, they're not numbers on a graph. We have to remember they are human beings as well."
Well, yes, and I see that as being the plus with teaching, is actually that you get to see them and meet them on that level as individuals, which I find great.
Oh, I love your passion for it. It's infectious. It's gonna drive me back to teaching if you're not careful. That's it.
I don't think so.
So what have been the challenges though, like for you personally in trying to be the teacher, Miss Vincent, in lockdown? What have the challenges been for you?
Well, it's been being able to help the kids who are struggling. There's one particular child in my year 8 class, and I get emails saying, "Oh, I can't do this. How do I do it?" And you think, well, I can't. I can show you. I can write you an email, but it's not good. What she wants is actually me to be there next to her showing her how to do it, so then she can copy it.
Yeah.
And that's the real challenge, is that you can't be there to do the things that you actually want to do.
Yeah, that's got to be a real tug on your heartstrings, because you're not in it just for the money. You're in it to see these children move forwards, and that must be a real conflict within you.
Yes, definitely.
So do you see, though, God breaking through into any of this at all in your time, teaching-wise? Do you see God breaking through, any silver lining moments?
Well, yes. I mean, I think, I mean, looking at the kind of big picture, I mean, I think that, Jesus is coming soon, and hallelujah. And if we've got to go through this pandemic, then that's fine, because I want to see Jesus come back.
Yeah.
So that's my thought there. In the shorter term, and for students and for families, I think it's going to make students actually more grateful for the things that they have and the things that they've always taken for granted. For example, being able to go into school. I know that sounds really stupid, but for years and years in school, we've been raising money for children in goodness knows where, lots of different places, for girls who haven't been able to go to school. Let's raise some money for these, because education will get them out of the poverty that they're in and into a better place. And you can see the kids going, "Oh yeah, sure, yeah, we'd really like to be in school, yeah." And now, of course, now that they can't be in school, they want to be back. They want to be back with their friends. They want to be learning. They've seen a completely different side to it, which I think we can only say thank God for that, because it's going to put them in a different position when they come back, if they want to be.
Yeah.
I think it's given everybody time to reflect. And when you're on your own and reflecting, actually, often you realise that there's something extra you need, and maybe that's God.
Yeah.
So I think people will be reaching out in a way that they haven't before.
I think what I've been encouraged by is the fact that people have got a new revelation of when God says back in Genesis, he saw man and he realized it wasn't good for man to be alone. And actually, yes. I think we throw that statement away, but actually we're all experiencing now, it's not good for us to be alone. And my hope and my prayer is not only will we appreciate our community spaces and our school gatherings more, but we'll show that appreciation to each other, and that will, flow between us a little bit more readily.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the things that our culture has thought were important, like celebrity and like status, I think they've all gone with the wind now, because we're seeing a lot of celebrities for the spoilt people that they are, and actually the things that they're doing in lockdown are bizarre often. And we're seeing, the goodness that there is in the community, the fact that we can reach out to friends, the fact that the NHS, the people there are being so fantastic, people are caring within communities. And I think that it's really nice that our heroes now are the people who are caring, because actually that's what life's all about.
Definitely, and I think what you've hit on there with the celebrity culture. I know a lot of secondary school young people. They wrestle with celebrity culture. It is about how many likes and how many posts. I mean, I don't even want to go into the dancing on TikTok because my brain just can't understand it. Do you see that? Well, do you predict almost then that the young people won't be as focused on this need for likes and retweets and shares, but more hung up on engaging with each other?
I hope so. I don't know, because it's hard to wean them off that, to be honest. And they are still quite into that, even though they're on lockdown, because that's the one way that they can communicate.
Yeah.
But I think it will mean that face-to-face contact is significantly more important to them.
Wow. Do you see the classroom becoming a better learning environment or a more challenging one to keep the kids focused when lockdown lifts?
I think it's a game of two halves there. I think those who have tried really hard with the stuff during lockdown and worked, as I said, I think it will do them good in the future. But I think when they get back, they're going to be really glad to be there and back to normality. I think for the kids who've done absolutely nothing and who've got out of practice at being in the classroom, I think it's going to be a massive challenge for some time to come, so that they can get their focus back and they can make up for the learning that they've missed. So I think it's actually going to be quite difficult in mixed classrooms, because you're going to have bits of both of those and people in between as well. So you're going to have kids who haven't worked for 3 months, done nothing. You're going to have kids who've worked really hard and are actually probably ahead of where they need to be. And you've got a teacher who's got to manage everything.
Wow.
So I think it's going to be tricky.
Yeah. Do you see then potentially there being extra classes on the radar? The American idea of summer schools maybe having to be reintroduced, all that, just to help bridge the gaps for those kids?
Well, it would be nice to think so. It would be great. I'm thinking about whether schools can afford it.
Yeah.
Because it's a big thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think that the online learning might become a bigger and bigger thing, because we're all getting more and more used to online learning. And though it might have been a thing that only a few people did, now everybody's doing it. So actually that could be something that's more tapped into to kind of bridge the gap that you're talking about.
Wow, it's quite exciting actually when you look at, for me, looking at education from the outside, of just what could happen and the different avenues that could be opened by this in education. It's as terrifying as it is, as you say, about those gaps getting bigger. I think I'm quite excited about the more avenues that we can be educating and growing in community as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge getting kids back to school. I mean, I'm desperate for the kids to be back, but with social distancing, I think most schools are just not equipped for that, because they're used to cramming kids into classrooms, not separating them out. And often the big spaces, they've only got one big space in the classroom, in the school, and all the kids can't be in there all the time. So I think there's going to be a lot of challenges as we move forward.
Wow. I mean, I've just loved just hearing your perspective, because everyone's got some thoughts they have on education, but I love hearing your thoughts from inside the system, really. Just to close up, really, what can we be praying for you, or is there anything we can be practically doing to be supporting schools at this time?
I think it's just praying for the students, really. It's praying for them that they engage with the work that's being set, and that God gives them the ability to do it or to try it. Praying for parents who might be out of their depth, who might be struggling, and pray for the school leaders who've got all the organisational difficulties of getting everybody back.
Wow.
I think it's going to be, I mean, I was really just hoping we were all going to go back after half term, but I live in hope. There we go. You've got to have hope.
But you're right and we do need to be praying for all those people. I mean, when the Bible says that, you start by asking God for wisdom. And I think, as you say, with school leaders, there's got to be a lot of God's wisdom being prayed for them at this time, of how to open, when to reopen, and what the whole school mechanism looks like once, you know, things start to ease. I think we do need the wisdom of God in there. So that's great.
I think we do. Yes, I agree.
And finally, just, is there anything practical we can be doing? Is it just parents be supporting and encouraging your kids? Is there anything more that we can be doing, do you think, to support students and schools at this time?
I don't really think so. I think schools are doing everything that they can from the inside out. I suppose that if you have, you know, a relative who's, you know, doing online work at home, and you think you have a skill that they can utilize or you can help them with, then I would go for it. Contact them on Zoom, go through things with them.
I think that's really encouraging, actually, because I know some parents that I've talked to feel a little on their own, and just the actual idea that we've all got friends that may be able to offer something in that education system to our children that we haven't got. Again, it's just thinking outside the box and reaching wider, but it's also being proactive. If we've got a skill, I mean, last night I was talking to a friend of mine. She went, Steve, my daughter wants to learn guitar. You play guitar. Would you be willing to teach her over Zoom? And I said, well, I'm not a very good music teacher, but I'll give it a go because I can play the guitar more than they can. So it is about reaching out with the gifts that we've got, isn't it?
I think so, yeah, because lots of people can do lots of things, and actually, it's great to share.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for sharing with us. I've really enjoyed. I can't believe it's been half an hour already. It's flown by. But just thank you for giving up half an hour of time to share with us a bit of what lockdown looks like for you as a teacher. We really appreciate it.
It's pleasure.
And just know that we're going to be praying for you, and we're going to keep praying for your school and your students and the parents, and the wisdom for all those school leaders as well. So thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Steve.